Hey, it's your girl Carmel Jean Francois coming to you from the New York City area. You know me, every time I jump on, I gotta fix the hair and mess with it a little bit. So, I am owner and founder of CFIT Coaching. Welcome back to my channel. I wanted to jump on here really quickly and talk about something. So, I weighed myself this morning and I didn't exactly love what I saw, but I expected it. I kind of expected it. But let me go back a little bit and say that I used to be that trainer a long time ago. I was that trainer that really emphasized calories. I emphasized calories in, calories out. I was all about weigh yourself. We're going to weigh ourselves every week, every 2 weeks, whatever it was. And then I kind of stepped back from that and there was a few times when I headed up a few coaching programs where we didn't even talk about the scale at all. We did not weigh ourselves. We did not talk about the scale. I'm just gonna something's happening with my screen. Okay. Hey, hey. And because I felt like even me myself, I became a little bit too obsessed with what the scale was saying, and if I felt like it wasn't healthy for me, I felt like maybe it might be just kind of messing with other people as well, my clients. So for a while, we didn't use the scale, and then I remember doing a few programs where we just did the scale in the very beginning of the program, and usually there were I usually held 3 month programs, 12 weeks, and such. So we did it at the beginning and at the end. And now I'm kind of like, I'll do it at the beginning of the end of a program. I'll ask a person what their ideal weight is because even though there are more ways to figure out what our ideal to determine what our ideal size looks like, I still feel like the scale is okay. And no matter what unit of measure, because that's what the scale is, it's a unit of measure, it's how we can tell. And yes, the scale will not tell us, or rather, no, the scale will not tell us how much body fat we have versus muscle. It won't tell us if we're bloated, if we've had too much water to drink, or if we're dehydrated. It won't tell us those things, no. However, it is still a unit of measure. It is still giving us information. Just like the jacket I wear won't necessarily give me all the details of what it is that I want to look like. Like if I want to fit into a jacket, and yes, I can squeeze myself into the jacket and say, yes, I'm in this jacket. Or if I say that I want to squeeze myself into a size 8, or if I'm like getting trying to get down to a size 8, to a size 4, to a size 2, and yet I buy my clothing from this brand and this brand's sizes are different than this brand. You all know what I'm talking about, where you know you're a size 6 and yet you go into one store and their size 8 can't fit you, and you go into another store and their size 2 fits you nice and good, right? And you're kind of like, well, what the heck is going on? So even that is is still a unit of measure and it's still valid. Yet it's just one aspect of it. So oftentimes when I'm talking to my clients or working with my clients, I say, well, what are the other ways that we can measure if we're heading towards our goals or not? And there's a slew of ways. There's the pair of jeans that you've had in your closet that didn't fit at one time and now it fits. There's the belt that, oh my goodness, I can actually go in another hole on my belt. There is the doctor saying, you've lost weight. There are your friends that are saying your face looks different, right? You're leaner. You look leaner. I remember I was seeing a dietitian and I was working with her for a few weeks. And after about 6 weeks or so, I walked into the office and she says, you look leaner. And that was so different and so much better to my psyche than you lost weight or you gained weight or you're gaining muscle, right? It was even better than that. She was like, you're leaner. And maybe she was trained to say that. Maybe this is what she actually saw. So there's differences because people take things in differently. Somebody might walk into their dietitian's office and their dietitian says, "You're leaner." And you're like, the person's like, "Oh, that did not say anything to me, right? So it depends on the person, their background, their experiences with these different types of words and these different types of units of measure. So we never know. So as a trainer, I often speak to folks about their goals and see what unit of measure we would they would prefer. And then we discuss that. So again, I'm not a big advocate for the scale because what we look like in the mirror, it can differ, right? I might not change at all. That number on that scale might not change at all, but that my jacket is fitting me differently, right? I might not want to be losing any weight and I want to maybe gain muscle and I step on that scale and I'm like, "Oh my goodness, why am I heavier?" It's because the muscle is just everything is just fitting differently, right? So, I say all that to say I weighed myself this morning. And I didn't love what I saw, but I kind of expected it. I've been indulging the past few weeks and not necessarily putting in as much work in. I find myself working a lot more than I had been in the past several months. And working a lot more means I'm sitting on my butt a lot more. I'm not getting out and moving as much as I should. So seeing that unit of measure and seeing what it looked like, seeing those numbers and knowing where I wanted to be based on what my goals are, it made me think back and made me think, Carmel, what is happening? And not necessarily beat myself up. I'm eating the wrong foods. I'm not exercising enough. But it just kind of like it made me reflect. What am I doing differently? And I was able to come up with that conclusion. I'm working a lot more. I'm not out and about as much as I used to. I used to be able to freely take walks during the course of the day, and now I feel tied to the computer. And no matter how much exercise we do, sitting at the computer, sitting in a chair for long periods of time is not going to offset those the detrimental effects to that, right? So I had to remember that. And then not only that, coupled with that is yes, I've been indulging in some of the things that I have not been before. Not to say they were good food and not to say that they were bad food, because anybody who hangs out with me knows that a lot of my indulgences are what others would consider boring healthy foods. It just is because I've come to enjoy them. So I'm just saying that I've been indulging a little bit more in foods than I usually. And I know when I'm hungry and I know when I'm eating just a snack, and I'm a snacker. I'll be the first to admit it. I'm a snacker. So I want to say that it's okay to weigh yourself. It's okay to own a scale. It's okay to look at your goals with these lenses, through these lenses, I should say. It's not a bad thing. Anything becomes a little concerning when you become obsessed with it. If I become obsessed with my belt and how many holes that I'm using on my belt, then it's a bad thing. If I become obsessed with whether or not this jacket fits, then there's a cause for concern. If I become obsessed with the scale, there's a cause for concern. And that's all my message is today, right? So that's just some of the things that I was thinking about. So now I know where I am with regards to the scale. And believe it or not, I'm looking at the scale and I'm looking at myself in the mirror and I am seeing the difference. And nobody else sees it. I know that. Nobody else is really seeing what I see because I know me. I know me. I know what I like to look in, what I like to see in the mirror. And that's what I'm seeing in the mirror really looks like what the scale is saying, right? So then I have to just reassess, either align myself with it and get comfortable with what the scale is saying and what I'm looking like in the mirror, or make the conscious decision to get back to where I was. And it is a conscious decision, and certain things will have to be put in place because of the indulgences that I've been partaking in. I will have to cut that back. And if my belly has gotten used to them, I will have to retrain the belly, things of that sort. So again, this is why personal training is so personal. This is why I do the individual work that I do, because everybody has their own activation points. What they don't sit well with. They might not be good with the scale, but they might be good with the measuring tape. They might not be good with the measuring tape and prefer the scale. So it's all on an individual basis. Don't let anybody ever tell you, don't weigh yourself. You weigh yourself if that's the way you feel. Like you can use that unit of measure to base where it is or how far you are away from your goal or how close you are from your goal. And it's all good. And so that's basically what I wanted to jump on here and share with you. So with that, remember, like, comment, subscribe, and share to this channel if you have not already. Thank you for hearing me babble about the scale and join me tomorrow. I'll see you then. Ciao, ciao.